Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Aero, issue number 1. This was a fun book, and I'm going to tell you 5 things about this book after I tell you who made the book. Let's get started with the first of 2 stories. We've got Alone Against Stone, writer Zhao Lifen and artist Kang, adapted by Greg Pak. The second story is Aero and Wave, Origins and Destinies, Part 3. Writers are Greg Pak and Alyssa Wong, artist Pop Man, and colorist Federico Blee. The letters for all of this book, VC's Joe Caramagna, and Kang did the cover art with Pop Man and Federico Blee doing the variant cover. Carlos Lau does the logo design. Let's get started with number 1 on this list. Aero is Alone. That's right, Alone is not just a really awesome heart song. No, it's also Aero. You know, when I think of Storm from the X-Men, I always think of this, obviously this weather goddess who's typically alone in the sky. She just needs to be alone. And of course, somebody always comes up and bothers her, and she typically politely shoos them away, but she just wants to be alone sometimes in the skies, with nature, with the elements. Aero pretty much is one of those elements. And she likewise wants to be alone. She kind of wants to go on a date and whatnot, but she knows in her heart that she's alone. Now, does that have to change? Yeah, it kind of does, because I don't think that she could beat her master on her own, her former master on her own, but she might have an ally in Keystone, which is the Earth Elemental, the new protege that will never turn against her. Yeah, I get the feeling that these two are going to have to team up in order to defeat their former master, because she's out of control. Let's get talking about number 2 on this list. Sperm warfare. When we break into the next story, the art in this is beautiful. I cannot complain about the art, but I have to point out the idea that some of this, like when you've got the water being sprayed everywhere, look, man, I am not a great artist, okay? I haven't done art in a long time, and even if I did, I can't imagine drawing water going all over the place. But this whole entire page, I feel like I need a pair of gloves, like rubber gloves, insulated. Because this looks like sperm. But that being said, the only reason why it is explosive and all over the place like that is because there's so much freaking action. And that brings me directly into number 3 on this list. Action-packed. Both of these stories, man. I sit here and I look at the fact that this is only issue number 3. And each one of these stories is technically half of a story. It's half of a comic book. And yet, even with having 2 half stories told over 3 times, that should technically equal 1.5 comic books of story each? Dude, this book is so action-packed and not light on the story that I can't help but feel overwhelmed. I picked up this issue and I looked, I was like, issue number 3, and I actually said to the other guys at the comic book store, where's the latest issue? Not realizing that this is only issue 3, but I feel like I'm 10 issues in because so much has already happened. If you guys are looking for a fast-paced comic book that will still give you a good chunk of story and you understand who these characters are and what they can do, Aero is undeniably the number 1 pick for anybody looking for action-packed. Let's get talking about number 4 on this list. New character. Sea Hunter is a brand new character that shows up in the second story of this book. I gotta go back to the idea that besides being action-packed, there is a story here. And having Aero and Wave in the same story, I love it. I love it. At some point, we gotta have Wave having her own comic book. I mean, I don't see that not happening in the cards, but we'll see. In the meantime, I have a lot of hope for it because of number 5 on this list, and that is, this book is seriously reaching out. When you look at the back of this book and you see what they're actually translating and what's actually coming up on the pipelines and whatnot, I really hope that more people start writing into this book. And literally, people from all over the world, write in your natural language also. Your natural language. Your, what do they call the language that you think in? Geez, as a guy who teaches English, you'd figure I'd have this on top of my head. But I'm really sick, so please just forgive me on that. Anyway, your native language, okay? Do it in your native language, please. Show how international this book is. Make sure that Marvel knows that we love this book, because this seriously is one hell of a book. And again, it's one of those books that's reaching across the aisle to other genres, specifically the manga audience, the anime audience. Like anime and manga, you're right there. You're neighbors. Usually they're the same people. Jump on this book also. Jump on all of these books, man. The Swordmaster, the New Agents of Atlas, while it's around, it's only going to be 5 issues for that one. But Swordmaster and Aero, I really need these stories to stick around, because I don't want them to end and just be rushed. These are amazing stories. And again, they're reaching out to a much broader audience, and therefore bringing more attention to comic books, which is the main genre that I love, the main medium, I should say, that I love. So just saying, and that's going to be it for me, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.